Welcome to Girl Choose Yourself, where we're trading self-doubt for self-trust and settling for soaring. I'm Eimear, your host, and together we're building the confidence to create lives so deliciously bold that they scare us a little, but in the best possible way. Because life's too precious to stay cozy in our comfort zones. It's time to choose ourselves for lives that are fabulous and soulfully fulfilling. So let's go. I want to ask you something. When do you think you last felt really at home with yourself? Like, not happy necessarily, because I think happiness comes and goes, it can be fleeting, but that deeper thing, that quiet, settled sense of, I'm okay, I'm here, I'm grounded, like I belong in this, my life. I feel good here. I think for a lot of people, a lot of women, that feeling is quite difficult to hold. For some people, it feels almost unrecognizable. And I want to talk today about why and about how we find our way back to that. Your attention, and I've spoken about this before, is really the most valuable thing on the planet these days. It's being actively harvested. Like, it's constantly, deliberately, and very lucratively being hijacked and harvested. The self-improvement industry, which is worth billions, is built on this single premise that you're not yet enough. You're not yet good enough. That there is a better version of you available. If you just buy this, if you just do this, if you just become this, and it seeds this feeling of lack, of less than, and then it sells you the cure. There's a moment in this movie from 1983, which I really loved. And the movie's called War Games. If you're a Gen Xer, you'll definitely know it. And there's a supercomputer called Whopper, and it kind of gets out of control and starts trying to access nuclear codes to launch missiles and start World War III. And the character played by Matthew Broderick is trying to interrupt it. And it gets it to play this game of tic-tac-toe over and over again. And then Whopper, the supercomputer, reaches the only conclusion available to it, which is it then stops and it says, "A strange game. The only winning move is not to play," realizing the futility of it. And I think about that very often in the context of the war that we wage on ourselves. You know, that war, that internal battle that has no end because it was never designed to have one. There's the striving, the proving, the not yet, the almost, the must try harder, round after round after round, thousands and thousands of games, and the conclusion that is always waiting for us, if we can get still enough really to reach it, is the same one, which is the only winning move is not to play the game. The voice that says, hey, not yet, not quite, almost, but not quite there. It feels like it belongs to us. It feels like it's our voice and it's there helping us in a way. It feels intimate. It feels like self-knowledge, like it's the expert on us. But so much of the content of what that voice is saying was seeded from the outside. It was planted early. It was watered daily until we can't tell where the noise ends and we begin. The truth of who we are begins. So today we're not adding anything. We're going to get still and remember something that was never actually lost. So think about it. How did we get here? How did so many women end up thoroughly, utterly convinced that we are not enough? That our place in our own bloody life is something to be earned, something to be proven, something to be justified. Obviously, it didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen because something is wrong with us. It happened because our attention was colonized slowly, systematically, and from a very young age. Think about the messages that arrived before you were old enough to question them, to filter them. Be good, be quiet, be helpful, don't be too much, don't draw attention to yourself, don't take up too much space, don't want too much, be agreeable, be likable, fit in, make it easy for everyone around you. And then later, it was be ambitious, but, not threatening, be confident, but not arrogant, successful, but still soft, be independent, but still, connected and needing people, be beautiful, but, don't try too hard, age gracefully, whatever the fuck that means. And for every rule, there's an opposite rule and a contradiction, layered upon a contradiction, until the internal landscape becomes so bloody noisy, so relentlessly demanding that you stop being able to hear yourself. And into that noise, into that noisy ecosystem that has colonized that interior space, an industry worth billions steps in with its hand outstretched. Lose this, fix this, optimize this, heal that, become this. It doesn't create that hunger exactly, but it finds it, it feeds it, and it grows fat on it. Here is what I'm inviting you to notice, though. Not one of those messages, not one, originated from inside of you. They all arrived from the outside. From culture, from family, from school, from religion, from media, from 1,000 images of what a woman should be. And they took up residence so deeply, so quietly, that they started to feel like they were your own thoughts. The critic in our heads is not us. That critic in your head is not you. She is a tenant. And she has been living rent-free for a very long time. Let me speak to what's actually happening inside a lot of women's heads, because I think we need to name it out loud before we can do anything with it. I'm letting everyone down. I should be able to handle this. Jesus, why can't I just get it together? Everyone else seems to be managing. I can't ask for help. I'll look weak. I know what I should be doing. Why the hell amn't I doing it? If I were just stronger, if I were just more disciplined, more together, this wouldn't be so fucking hard. Do any of those feel familiar? Because those are not the thoughts of a woman who isn't trying. Those are the thoughts of a woman who is trying so hard and has been trying so hard for so long that she has turned herself into a self-improvement project, a permanent work in progress. Always on her way somewhere else, never quite okay with what is right now. I know this place. I have lived in this, and sometimes when I'm disconnected from myself, I absolutely still visit it. That relentless quality of never arriving, never being enough, of the goalposts always moving, of being simultaneously exhausted by the striving and absolutely terrified of stopping. Because here's the fear underneath it all, and I want to name this directly because I think it stops so many women from even considering another way. If I stop, if I accept myself as I am right now, if I let go of the constant pushing, won't I just stop? Disappear? Won't I become someone who gave up? Won't I be a loser? Won't I be lazy? Won't I be going nowhere? That fear is real and it makes complete sense. because we have been so thoroughly trained to believe that the striving is what produces the growth. That the self-criticism is what keeps us sharp. That the not enough is what keeps us moving. And if we let go of that, chaos will ensue. But I want to offer you a different possibility. What if the striving from not enough isn't actually contributing to your growth? What if it's just making you exhausted? What if the women who are most fully alive, most creative, most generous, most genuinely themselves are not the ones who pushed hardest from that place of lack, but the ones who somehow found their way back to a foundation of okayness and grew from there, from that place. Because here's what I've come to understand through my own life, through the women I work with, and through my training as a mindfulness meditation teacher. You cannot genuinely unfold into who you truly are, that spectacular being, from a place of self-rejection. Yeah, you can achieve from there. Many women do, but by God, it costs everything. And it never feels like enough, because it was built on not enough to begin with. The foundation is critical. Real growth, the kind that feels like expansion, unfolding, rather than grasping and climbing and clawing, like coming home rather than arriving somewhere new, that comes from the inside out. Can only come from there. It comes from a place of okayness with who you are, with what is right now. Not complacency, not giving up, not shrinking. Just, I am here, I am this. And when we get still enough, to really feel that, not as an intellectual concept, but as a felt, lived experience, something extraordinary becomes available. Because I am this is not a small thing. It's not resignation or settling. It's definitely not giving up. The universe didn't make something incomplete and send it here to Earth to fix itself. Creation is finished. You are already the whole thing. The grasping, the striving, the not yet, that is the forgetting. That is the distraction. That is the veil hiding the truth. The poet Rumi wrote that the human being is the universe in divine motion. I love that. Maybe it was ecstatic motion. Either. Beautiful. It's not about becoming then. Not on its way. It's already in motion. It's already whole. It's already everything. And what meditation does, disciplined, patient, loving attention turned inwards, is not add anything. It just removes the interference. It quiets the noise long enough for you to feel what has always been true, and to tune in to that signal, that underneath that tenant critic, underneath the colonised attention, underneath the self-improvement project, there is something vast and still and complete that was never actually in trouble. And from that place, that still, complete, already whole place, you can move, you can, not from lack, not from fear, not from the exhausting pursuit of a better version of myself, but from wholeness. That is what real unfolding feels like. It's not earning, it's not proving, it's not grasping. It's remembering and then moving from that place of remembering. So what is the actual move here? It's self-acceptance. And I want to stay with that for a moment, because I think it's one of the most misunderstood and underestimated things available to us. Self-acceptance is not some consolation prize. It is not what you settle for when you've decided to stop trying. It is not the soft option, the lazy option, the option for women who've sort of given up on their potential. It's all too difficult. It is the most radical thing that you can do. Because what we're actually talking about is moving from self-rejection to self-acceptance. And most of us have been in self-rejection for so bloody long, we don't even recognize it as a choice. It just feels like reality, like clear-eyed self-assessment. I'm realistic. Like I know my weaknesses, like I'm staying sharp, I'm working on myself. But self-rejection is not clarity. It's really a form of violence against ourselves. It's the continuous, exhausting, brutal act of treating yourself as some project to be fixed, of measuring yourself against an endlessly moving standard that was designed by people who profit from your dissatisfaction, of waking up every day and picking up arms against yourself. How fucking crazy is that? So today I want to invite you to lay down those arms. Not because you're giving up on yourself, but because you were never your enemy. When you move into genuine self-acceptance, not as a concept, not as an affirmation you repeat while still feeling kind of broken inside, but as a lived, felt, embodied experience, something profound shifts. You become unavailable to the noise from outside that tells you how to judge yourself, how to define yourself, who you should be and how you should be that person. You become unavailable to the tenant critic who has been bloody well squatting in your inner landscape, charging rent in the currency of your peace. You tune in instead to something ancient, quieter and far more trustworthy. And this is what I found in my own practice and in my life, is when you stop rejecting yourself, when you genuinely lay down those arms, you do not become unmotivated. You do not turn into some sloth-like creature. You do not become passive or directionless or lost. You become revealed. So much more becomes visible when you are no longer at war with yourself. The desires you had buried, capacities you had dismissed because they weren't good enough or important enough. A quality of aliveness that the striving was actually suppressing. Because striving from self-rejection is incredibly loud and distracting. And it drowns out the signal completely. And the practice of meditation is how we find our way there, not by adding anything, as I said, but by removing the interference. By getting still enough, regularly enough, that the truth of your wholeness stops being a concept and starts being something you actually feel, you experience. I've made something for you, a short guided meditation into self-acceptance, because that is what enough already really means. It's not I give up or I settle or I stop growing, but I see myself clearly. I recognize what was always true and I lay down the fight against myself. I'm over that. I'm no longer available to be defined by the noise. I turn inward instead to my innate wisdom and wholeness, because you're already enough. You always have been. If you would like to have access to this, you can email me and I will send it to you. And I'll leave my email, eimear@eimearzone.com, in the show notes. You came into this world whole, not as a project, not as a problem to be solved, not as a draft version of something that would eventually, if you worked hard enough and wanted it badly enough, become the finished thing. Whole, already, always, from the beginning. And everything we've talked about today, the attention harvesting, the colonised inner landscape, the game designed for you to keep playing that is never winnable, the arms you have been turning against yourself, all of it has been in service of one remembering. Enough, you're enough already. You've always been enough. And the life that is waiting for you, not the life you'll earn when you're finally fixed yourself, but the life that is available to you right now from this ground, from this wholeness, from this foundation, that life is more than you've been allowing yourself to imagine. That's it for this week. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning into the episode this week. I hope you got a lot out of it, and if you did, please share it with somebody who you feel would benefit. And leave a review. Always greatly appreciated. Lots of free and paid resources to take things a step further. You can find those in the show notes. And hey, if nobody has told you this yet today, you are amazing. And the world is a far more beautiful place because you're here with us all. Stay cool. Bye.